DPI's afternoon pick-me-up specifically for dance. We've already held these for music and visual arts, and they have gone fantastic. We hope to continue these throughout the summer and even the fall on a monthly basis to really give you all a chance to talk more in depth, share conversation, ideas, resources, and just really have a chance to network with each other across counties and schools in places where you might normally feel like you're the only person at your school that does what you do. So we are really excited to have you all here. I want to introduce myself. I'm Sayward Grindley. I'm the new dance and visual arts consultant. And so I have been here 1 month so far. I've really gotten thrown into this in an exciting way, being that we're all home and working remotely. So all of this is happening at our individual houses, just like you all have been working for the last few months. So that's been interesting to start a new job that way, but I've absolutely loved every minute of it. And I'm really excited to be here for you all and to share and get to know what your needs are and how we can best help you from DPI. I want to share my partner in crime, my arts team member. He's been doing this all on his own so far. And then now we are a 2-person team. So I want to introduce Brandon, and he'll tell you a little bit about himself.
Hi, I am the Music and Theater Arts Consultant at DPI, and I was lucky enough to come to the conference and get my super sweet t-shirt. So some of you may recognize this lovely visage. And I'm just really stoked to be here and have these conversations with you guys because as Sayward mentioned, we've already done 2 of these, and we're really recognizing what strengths there are from having these cross arts conversations too. So I'm excited to learn from you and share what the music and theater arts teachers are doing as well.
Awesome. And our section chief is Dr. Lori Major Carlin. She is unable to join us today. However, we have provided her email information at the end of the slides. You can check for that if you ever have any questions or need to reach out for her. She does oversee both Brandon and I in the arts team, and then also the social studies team as well. And she has a theater arts background herself. And then I want to introduce on the call with us today and helping us facilitate our breakout rooms is the NCDEO Vice President, Laura Stotterman. So she's going to introduce herself quickly.
Yes, hi everyone, and thank you for having me with you. My name is Laura Stotterman, and like you said, I am the Vice President of Professional Development for NCDEO, and currently the high school dance teacher at Holly Springs High School. So I'm eager to have our discussions in a little bit. Thank you.
To the next slide. So just a few housekeeping things. Remember, this is DPI facilitated, but we want to share as many resources with you as possible. There are a lot of resources in this slide deck. We will not go through them all. We will not discuss them all, but we wanted to make sure that you had them as a resource to be able to go back to and really look at any of the things that interest you or that you feel like would help you more in your individual classes. If you want to reach out individually and email us, we can always help you more. Videos are encouraged, especially for your breakout rooms, but not necessary if you don't have access to those. Use the chat to answer any questions or ask questions. Just feel free to put as much in that chat as possible. Brandon's gonna really stay on top of that. And then make sure that you're muted so that we can really hear each other. We're gonna stay solutions focused today and really think about all of the great things that we can do moving forward. Next slide. There we go. So if you are confused about anything on your screen or how to find your chat, in a moment we're going to have some polls as well. Those will show up on your screen right under your chat. Just let us know if you're having trouble with any of that, but this should be able to tell you anything that you need to fix. You can go into that bit.ly at the bottom of your screen. Brandon has also put that link in the chat, and you can follow along and find that information. All right, next slide. So Brandon's going to take it from here and give you a quick little test just to kind of test out our new platform that we are learning at the same time.
So just to have a little fun while we're doing it, we have some new functionality in this platform. So we're going to take a little quiz, and then we'll try out some of the poll features of our new platform in WebEx. And so just that everyone can get used to it, because then the next step is that we're going to get a little information from you so that we can better tailor this session for everybody who's here today. So on this slide, you see 12 pictures of dance scenes from different movies. And when I say go, you're going to try to name each movie just in your head or on a piece of paper. And we'll do this really informally. So if there are no questions, since I see you already trying to figure it out, ready, set, go. Man, nobody's even smiling. They're so focused. There we go. There are all the smiles. I know it's tiny. I'm sorry. All right, we're about halfway through our time. Got about 30 seconds left. It's all just for fun. 15 seconds. If you can't find it, skip over it. Go to the ones you know. All right, about 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right, here are the answers. Okay, you don't have to holler out yet how many you've got. Just go ahead and count up how many of them you got correct. And nobody's gonna double check. We just trust you to be honest. All right, thumbs up when you're done checking. All right, beautiful. So I'm going to push out a poll here, and it's going to ask you how many you get correct. So it should open up right near your chat at the bottom of the screen. Please let us know if you have any issues locating it. All right, wow, everybody's jumping on it right away. We've got a couple people who still haven't started. Let us know if you need any help locating it. If you are calling in, I don't believe that you are able to participate. I'm so sorry. We've got 2 people just finishing up. Oh, and there is a second question that you probably already saw and asks you what you teach. All right. Everybody has started. We're just waiting for a few people to finish up. Wow, that was quick. We had almost everybody do it in 60 seconds.
That's a record.
Yeah, for sure. All right, as soon as I hit
on the ball.
Okay, everybody has participated, so that was easy. Wonderful. So I can share these results with you now. Do you all see those results?
Yes.
Great. Sayward, I still don't see them, so if you can read them out, that'd be great.
Yes, of course. So we got the majority of people got C, 3 to 6 correct, and then some people got 7 to 9, and some people got 10 to 12. Who we have in the room, the majority are high school teachers. We have several middle school teachers. We have 2 elementary, and then we have an arts coordinator or director as well. So awesome. Welcome.
Wonderful. All right. So, apologies. I'm going to push out one more question here, and this is going to be an open-ended question. So you can type whatever answer you feel, and I believe you actually have to click on the words "your answer" in order to type. And again, this is so that we can help tailor and meet the needs of everybody who's here today.
And we appreciate you all doing this with us. This is a new platform, like we said, that we have just started to learn and figure out. So we're learning this as we're presenting. But we know that these types of features will come in handy as we continue and do more of these. And as we do more specific PLCs and breakouts, we want to be able to understand these features pretty well.
All right, nearly everyone has finished. We're just waiting on 2 people. No pressure, I was just giving a progress report. Wow, you guys are so good at getting these done. All right, so here we go.
Awesome. Okay, so here are some of the answers. Sharing some resources with each other, hope to gain some other new ideas, to meet and collaborate with other dance teachers, get ideas moving forward, get to know others who teach dance, engage in purposeful conversation, discover ways to improve instruction. This is really fantastic. Lots of great stuff here, and really positive. Awesome. Okay. Excellent. So I'm gonna share now, if I can get to my screen. One moment here. I apologize. Let me find where I left off here. There you go. Okay. So we're going to make sure today that we share a little bit about a standards-based approach. We have provided standards with all of the ideas, and that's just a starting point. Hang on one second. There we go. And that's just a starting point to get you thinking about what standards are applicable, but you can definitely tailor that to your specific needs. And then those specific content focused ideas that we will just barely touch on, and then we'll move out to our breakout groups, and that's where you'll get your survey and your link to your certificate for today's session. So in a standards-based approach, obviously we're going to use standards when we're teaching, still in whatever situation we're about to be in moving forward. And as teachers, we know how to think differently. We know how to adapt to new situations. We get them all the time. There's always new and different things that are coming at us, and we know how to pivot. We know how to deal with those unexpected interruptions. And so right now, we want to think about what can we do differently now, instead of trying to replace exactly what we were doing before in the classroom. No matter what scenario happens for the fall, it's going to look different. So if we can think about that going forward with that same excitement level that you had as a first-year teacher, and thinking about, wow, I haven't done this before, but I'm really excited to go into this and learn and try new things and just see what happens. But now you have, many of you, all of that experience that you've already had for the previous years. So now you can add that in with that level of excitement of trying new things also. So think about and answer in the chat box, what do you teach besides performance or concert performance-based work? What do you teach that doesn't require large spaces or contact with other people? So thinking about some of those things that you can list in the chat box. What are some of those items, some of those standards that we are also teaching? Good, I see some things coming in here already. Awesome. So I'm going to just go ahead and move on. Whoops, there we go. So a couple of those that could be examples are dance analysis, dance history, dance critique, dance science, dance film, or other types of media. You can really fine tune and get down to specific details on technical aspects of skills, careers in dance, site-specific dance, improvisation, choreography on yourself, and also reflection and writing skills. Also, you all have some other great ideas in addition to that. Really quickly about the fall, obviously we do not know any more than you do. We know that the governor is going to make a decision on July 1st. There will be more information about that coming out once those decisions are made. So right now, DPI has a guide of 3 possible scenarios. Plan A would be with minimal social distancing back at school. Plan B would be a hybrid model of some a lot of social distancing and maybe some remote or online work. And then part C would be back to all remote learning. So it could be any of those scenarios, and we want to really think about being able to plan for all of those. So you can take a look at that guide on that link. And also, the professional organizations in the area came together to create these recommendations for arts education as North Carolina reopens schools. This is not an NCDPI document. However, Laura was on this committee to help write the dance section, and you can take a look at that. There is a link as well that you can provide feedback in the survey, because it is a living document that they will continue to make updates and changes to. But it's a lot of great recommendations, and if you have questions about that, you can ask Laura specifically. So moving on to some content-focused ideas. There are a lot of ideas on here. I'm barely going to touch on them, but this is for you to have as a resource to come back and look back through a lot of these to see what you want to dive into further. So we've had some people ask questions about how do you create with low technology or no technology. And so these are a lot of ideas here to come up with ways of creating dance using not much technology, or that you can create paper packets to send home. There are some books as well, and there's also a list down here of choreographic prompts, but you can transfer those to being improvisational tasks that they don't have to complete as a piece of choreography as well. So a lot of ideas there for you. If you want to look at more high-tech options, however, there we go. Oh, no, there we go. There's a lot of ideas that utilize technology in the creative process. So whether you're doing these in the studio independently or at home remotely, these are some ideas that you can use. So one video that's been sent out a lot has been, well, several videos of Mitchell Rose, and he actually created a dance chain project that could be used in the classroom to explain exactly how you would do it and how you can plan out one of those full class videos that we've been seeing pop up on YouTube a lot. So there were so many requests that he actually created this lesson to be able to share with teachers for that reason. So that's a great one to take a look at. And then there's a few others where you can go in. Carolina Ballet has some of their stuff streaming online. American Dance Festival has a lot of dance films. There's just so many things out there that you can look at. Oh, I moved on to, oh, sorry, I'm at analysis now. Hang on one second, I lost my place here. So I skipped ahead, but that's all right. You can go back to creating with high tech. You can go to some of these museums as well and do a virtual museum visit and create dances. And the North Carolina Museum of Art actually has some dance related lesson plans that you can look at as well. There is also a dance for film lesson plan here that you can look at on tips for shooting videos for dance. So that's a really great lesson that you can look at as well. So moving forward to analysis, I already briefly touched on this. You can watch any of these videos online. For low tech, you can actually watch some of the great performances on PBS, or you can give students the brain dance patterns and ask them to be able to identify and analyze those within themselves and their own movement. For critique, you can go through again and watch some of these things online. You can have students choose their favorite song and imagine how they might illustrate it. And then for high tech, you can have them watch these performances online and they can describe the elements of dance using appropriate terminology. They can compare and contrast two different performances. They can describe the lighting, the costume, and the sets. There's a whole lot that you can do with critique, but I'm going to move forward to a few other exciting ideas. So dance history, you can send packets of information to the students and have them create their own brochure or poster or some creative project based on the packets that you're sending them. Or for high tech, for North Carolina specific artists, we are working on a website that will have North Carolina artists on there. We will have a dance section focusing on North Carolina dance specifically. You can also go on to, like, Alvin Ailey has a lot of their performances online and some of that history. But a really special one is American Dance Festival's archives, and they have links to historical articles based on a lot of these works of art or works of dance that have been done at ADF, but then have gone on to be performed throughout the world. So you can also do some careers in dance. You can call someone who is a practicing dancer and have students interview them, write a paper. They can design a costume for a piece of choreography. So they could draw the costume design, or they could actually use items from around their house to try to come up with these costume designs. I've had students create costumes all out of newspaper or cardboard boxes, right? So it might be completely avant-garde and out there, but it really gives them a way to sort of think outside the box of what's possible and what they can do. They can research careers in dance online and write papers about all of these different careers that are related to the dance field. That's just a little sampling of ideas there. Also, we can teach technique in a modified way. You know, whether we're social distancing and we're having to stay within our own squares in the classroom, or we're at home, there's lots of different ways that we can modify and focus on more non-locomotor movement or stationary movement. Also, if students are at home, you can give them a list of criteria of bar exercises that they need to go through on their own, or a set warm-up that maybe they've already learned. Like, let's say we go to school for a little while and then we go back to remote learning. Maybe teach them a set warm-up right off the bat so that they can remember that and do it at home and analyze it in other ways once they get home. Maybe they have to create their own warm-up based on safe warm-up practices. Or you can use a lot of ideas and prompts from the book Creative Dance for All Ages by Anne Green Gilbert. She breaks it up into levels, pathways, directions, and you could spend a different element or focus on a different element each week to dive into further with each student. There's also a lot of dances online or classes online that you can take a look at. My students last semester, I was teaching in the college level, and they loved that they could go online and take a recorded class of Alonzo Kings or Wendy Whalen or Tamara Rojo, you know, all of these famous teachers that they've been learning about, that they could actually take their class. And some of them, the teachers are teaching the class from their kitchens or at their home as well. So they're able to really see those teachers working in their own homes also. You can also take virtual live classes. There's several of those listed down below that are options for students to also take. So one thing that we have not really talked about with a lot of the other groups, but I know this is something that's been coming up a lot in questions, is how do you plan all of this and implement it and decide on your structure? Of course, that's totally up to you and your creativity. You know, that's what we do best. And you're going to know what works for your students, your school, your schedule. And so we just have some examples of that because it's really going to boil down to what works independently for you. Here's an example template of, and this is for an educational psychology class, but that she has a weekly schedule of tasks that each day they're going to do a different task, and they have, and that the schedule is going to pretty much stay the same every week, but they'll have a different concept or focus that they're looking at. So that's just an interesting template for a weekly schedule there. And then Amanda, if you would like to share for just a moment, we're going to take a look at this voice board that she has created.
Hi, I'm Amanda and I'm from Asheville, North Carolina, and I teach high school dance grades 9 through 12. And Lisa Laney, who's also on the call, helped me come up with this. But basically, it's a virtual dance board, and it's a choice board. So my students can, we were told by or I was told at my school that we could only assign 2 assignments each week because the students were feeling overwhelmed in their other classes and such. So you'll see at the bottom that that was the directions for my students. And so I assigned this to them probably for the last 3 or 4 weeks of the spring semester. And so there's 25 different lessons for them to choose from. And you can embed any kind of video or lesson unit that you want. So you could make your dance board about the elements. You can make it about dance criticism. You can make it about choreographic principles. I mean, it's really up to you. The point of this is just to show you what it looks like. And I created it on Google Slides so that there's a title slide, and then each slide is hyperlinked into each box so that it would be interactive. They could click through it.
So I'm just going to share the samples that Amanda has for time's sake, but if you are in the high school breakout room with her, she may be able to share more details if that's something that you're interested in. So here are a few samples of some of her lessons. I don't know if there's any that you want to focus on specifically, Amanda, or if that's a pretty good overview.
I think it's up to them. But like I said, if you, or like Sayward said, if you have questions, I just put my email in the chat. So you're more than welcome to follow up with me through email, or when we break out into the groups, I'm happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
Great. Thank you so much, Amanda. That was such an awesome module and way that she put all of that together. And I was really excited that she was willing to share that with us today. So I've also done like this create a dance sort of format where you give students options of, like, let's say column A, column B, column C. They can choose several different warm-up options, then they choose exploratory or skills practice activity, and then they choose a creation activity. And then they do a reflection at the end that explains which ones they chose for that day and what they learned. And so you're really creating several options for them, and it'll be different even if they choose the same things on a different day. It still would end up working out to be different depending on how they put it together. So students really seem to like that autonomy in certain grade levels of being able to kind of choose what they're going to work on. There's also, it's come up that you could do stations or task rotation, where some students might be working on independent work while other groups are working physically, moving through the space. So you can be creative about who's working at what time on which things. I do want to go back because I missed a lesson that I would also like to share with you quickly. Oh, where is the one that I was? Here we are. So this one is by Sue Hill. So I don't know, Sue, if you wanted to talk for just a moment about this project that you gave, which really just summarized, it used almost all of the standards in one project, which was really awesome.
Hi, everybody. This was my final project for 6th grade, where we study the elements. And the gist at the beginning of a normal semester, and in the 24 years that I've taught, I haven't had to do this, was I usually tell my students that for the first 3 projects, space, time, energy, that I decide who they work with. That way they get to know everybody in the room and they don't pick the same people all the time. And the big culmination is at the end of the year, they get to choose their group for their final project, which implements everything that we've done in the semester. And I won't go into all the details on there, but this year I had to reconfigure how this was going to actually take place. And I put it more in the terms of that the students they were going to be a choreographer and they had this beautiful piece that they were going to set, and they wanted other companies to commission them. So basically they had to go through all of the same steps, but it was done more in a virtual way. And some of them came back so good, it was like, I wish I could have seen this dance. So perhaps it'll be something they will do later on, but it did incorporate everything throughout the semester that I would have liked to have done live. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Sue. So there is a link to that as well. And if you have further questions about that, I'm sure Sue would be happy to answer those. I'm going too far. Here we go. And then another idea is, again, that weekly concept that could be introduced and explored, and then you create something and the students present it in some manner, and then you reflect upon that. Flipgrid is a great way to share videos with students, a little bit easier than having to upload onto YouTube and take that long time to do that. So they can share process videos with you or do little virtual performances. So that's just an example of another app that you can use. Really quickly, I'm going to let Laura talk a little bit about NCDEO, because it is a really wonderful organization that will help to make sure you all stay informed of what's going on and different training opportunities for you as well. So Laura, take it away.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Okay, so yes, if you are not familiar with our state organization, North Carolina Dance Education Organization, we are the state affiliate of the National Dance Education Organization. And so we carry the work that really is implemented at the national level here to us at the state. And so we host a conference annually. We have just finished our 3-day completion of a mini virtual conference in which we had several breakout discussions and presentations and classes that were very well received by our membership. We are going to be starting a book study, so check your emails and social media for information on that. But basically, it's a wonderful organization. We also help to coordinate the National Honor Society for Dance Arts, which has chapters at both the junior, which is middle school, high school, as well as collegiate level. So we really are trying to do work across the state to provide network and leadership and really be a place where you can come to with questions, with concerns, and just an opportunity to share and engage in really great discussions with one another. So a little plug for you to join the organization if you haven't become a member already, and to reach out to any of us on the board, or just again, send me an email if you have any other questions.
All right, great. Thank you, Laura. Oh, back to my presentation. So we are going to move on to some breakout groups, and time to share. That's Brandon's fun little picture there that he likes to put in. All right, we're going to move on and find some time in your individual breakout groups. Now, I think there's only 2 elementary teachers here. So we wanted to give you the chance, if you prefer to join with the middle school, you can. And then in that case, then we can just all stay here, the elementary and middle school. But high school is going to move out to join Laura in a high school chat room. So the 2, if you are elementary, would you prefer to have your own discussion or to join the middle schoolers? If you could put it in the chat, that would work as well. Middle school. Okay. So why don't we just have the, does that work, Brandon? If middle and elementary, we just stay here? Okay. And then high school will break out and go join Laura in that Google Meet that she has down at the bottom. So give her a moment just to get there. And once you get to your breakout room, after you have a chance to chat and talk a little bit further, and remember that we are going to be continuing these conversations later and in more depth. So on your survey that you will get, feel free to put things that you would like to discuss in more detail or further in a future PLC. So thank you all for coming, high school teachers. Really happy to have you here, and feel free to reach out if you need anything. And you can go ahead and log off and go over to that meeting with Laura. There is no code for the high school meeting. You just click on that Google Meet, and Brandon's going to try to get it in the chat here for us.
And if you do go over to the high school meeting, please make sure that you log off of this meeting. Otherwise, you get echoes and crazy feedback. Thank you so much for attending. And Laura will get you all situated with your CEUs and your feedback survey.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with elementary and middle school teachers. Let's see, I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment so that I can see your faces. And if anybody has any specific questions or thoughts that they would like to start a discussion with some other teachers, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself to just start talking, or you can wave and we'll call on you. But what are some of the things that you are interested in or excited about, or that you're wanting to try or have questions on? Let's see, let's start this way. Let's say, what did you feel like really worked last semester when thrown into this loop, right, in this new situation? What are some things that you felt like, okay, that was great, that actually really worked, and I'm happy about that?
Sayward, I'm sorry. Did you see Amanda's having trouble with the code? I know you made it work earlier.
Yeah, I clicked on it earlier.
Sorry, I was just coming back for the link. It didn't work.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Would you mind reposting in the chat? Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm
He's
just
got
a
it.
little slow.
All right.
And then the password should be NCDPI space high school space breakout.
Oh, maybe that password wasn't put on there. Maybe that's why they're not getting in. Okay. Sorry, everyone. We're trying to figure all of this out with doing these multiple groups. So students enjoyed watching videos and answering questions. They enjoyed pre-recorded dance lessons with breakdowns of exercises. Flipgrid was a useful app. Those are really exciting things. Did any of you do any sort of like virtual performances or sharing of work with parents or the community? I see Sue nodding, yeah. Did you, how did you do that? How did you set that up?
It wasn't really with the community, but what I did for I have a class of year-long 8th graders, and I basically created a movie for them of things that I had collected throughout the year, and then things that we had worked on. We did one sort of collaborative dance, you know, that you see where somebody like hits this way and the other person starts with the same movement. And that was one of the assignments. So I embedded that into the movie. And then I had the parents send me a statement that they would like, that they might write in a program or something for their child, along with a picture of their 8th grader. And I put that in the movie as well. So I sent that out to the parents right at the end, since everybody was doing different things for the end of the year. And it went over very, very well. So, but it was a lot of work.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely a lot of work to set up there. Brandon, I'm wondering if you can email people that are not getting into the high school session.
Yeah, so Laura actually and I are trying to email back and forth right now.
Okay, perfect.
I just rejoined, and I have, because I think that was the wrong link. I sent, because Sayward was in the meet, so I know that we had a link, but maybe that was the old link. Because I never changed the link, but I don't know what happened.
Okay, yep, I am now in both sessions as well. And so here's the new session, high school people. There you go.
Okay, if they're still there and coming in.
And so I will go ahead and email everyone the new link.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, bye guys. Oh, and okay.
Thank you all for your patience with this. This is like, we're learning along with you all. You get to see, it happens across the board. So there's, it's all interesting, and we're all making it work, right? This is how we work.
I closed out of that. Okay.
Laura, we do hear you.
What? I don't see.
This is great.
Okay, you're still there. Goodbye.
Bye.
Sorry. Leave meeting, yes.
All right. So what are some things that you're thinking that you want to try in the fall, either in the classroom, or if we go back to remote learning, not knowing what that situation is yet, but some things that you're interested to learn more about or try.
Hi, everybody. This is Rhonda. I'm definitely interested in trying to get a hold of this technology thing, because it became a beast all of its own, and I found myself very frustrated and focusing. It took more of my mental brain to work on, to try to teach instruction, virtually, than it does just being in the classroom, because it flows so well. Because as a dance teacher and as artists, you are definitely working one-on-one. But I'm loving like a lot of the ideas, especially the last teacher that had the video that she put together. I would love to do stuff like that. It's just that I can become a little overwhelmed with technology. So any help on that would be wonderful.
I will say that, and I'm going to try to find it for you as soon as I'm done here. The Friday Institute has just released a brand new MOOC, which is a massively open online course to directly address teaching online. And so that is the side of like integrating with whatever your district is going to choose. But then actually NDEO has great webinars and courses that are for free right now that they cover the same topics specific to dance.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I will add, something that we have done within just our team is just setting up like a practice session with some of the other colleagues to just try and see how it goes and do a dry run. We had one of those before we started these, and just because it was such short notice, but we would have probably benefited from doing a couple of those to really just practice using all of the interface ourselves, so that you get really comfortable with it, and then you're able to really teach that to the students a little bit easier. Because it's hard to do while you're learning at the same time. It's hard to instruct and inform the student. So that would be something that I would maybe suggest trying to do, seeing if you have colleagues that would try out the technology with you as little practice sessions. And then some teachers have suggested doing some trainings at the beginning of the semester, right when you start, with the students and or parents, some little boot camps to help make sure that the parents understand the technology that you're going to be using, so that if we do go back to remote learning, they're able to really help their student navigate through any issues. What other suggestions do you have regarding using the technology?
Hi, I'm Sarah. One easy way that I created a virtual sharing for students that wanted to opt in. We did a choice and a playlist at the end of the year, was just to do a Google Drive folder that was, the link was just available to parents. And so it was super simple because kids could submit videos different ways, however they wanted to upload it to Google Drive, and I just moved it to the folder. And I was also able to put information with their dance, with their video if needed. But it was a really easy way to just make a program and put it into the folder. We did the dance chain video. It turned out really well. But I found it easiest for that just to edit it on my phone in iMovie, just connect it one by one with each student. But it was easier than I thought compared to trying to do other videos and performance.
Yeah. And I, on a personal level, have used the iMovie app on my phone, and it's a lot more user friendly than the computer version, I feel like, and real easy to just kind of pull your clips in there and do your transitions, and it's pretty user friendly, I feel like. So that's a great one to use as well. Good. What are some other activities or lesson ideas that you're excited to try moving forward? Or what are you, thinking about with creating those lesson plan and ideas? Yeah. Uh-oh, we're still not hearing you. Try one more time.
I think she may have been muted on my side, so go ahead and try it one more time.
Oh, no. Do you want to put it in the chat? Sometimes, depending on your personal settings, I know my computer sometimes will be funky and the mic won't work or the video won't work or something.
Just to address some questions in the chat, all of these resources are saved in the slide deck, and the slide deck is going to go out or I'll send out a whole email tonight once the video is processed of this session. And so you'll get a link to the video, you'll get a link to the slide deck, and you'll also get the link again to the survey, which leads you to the link for your CEU certificate. So it'll all go out again tonight.
Yeah, we know this is a ton of information thrown at you at one time, so it's a little bit hard to process and take it all in at once, which is why we want to make sure that you have the ability to go back and look at everything on your own time and your own interest and figure out, what applies to you and your classes and what's going to work. And again, anything that you see that you would like to brainstorm even more on or more specifically for your classroom, we're happy to do that with you as well, because we know all of your situations are different, and there's not going to be something that's going to work like across the board for every single teacher and every single classroom. Sue, do you have something, or what you were just agreeing?
I was looking at what Chandra wrote in there, the Adobe Spark. That sounds really cool.
Awesome.
Adobe Spark is ridiculously user-friendly. I taught elementary school for a decade, and we had first graders creating their own videos using Adobe Spark. So it's super user-friendly.
So as Brandon wrote too, if you'd like to share apprehensions as well, he can bring those up if you don't want to share them with the whole group and you just want to send them to him privately to kind of ask the whole group. You know, of course, we're wanting to stay solutions focused and positive, but we know that there may be concerns that you have. So maybe we can kind of brainstorm and come up with some solutions for you. And Candace asked, can you say more about Adobe Spark and what that is? Who has used that? I have not. I'm not familiar with it.
Chandra, do you have more about that? Or Chandra?
Hey, sorry.
No, you're great.
So my brother's on a conference call, and I was like, oh no.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so we down in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, just got introduced to Adobe Spark. So I was only able to have my students create like a flyer about our upcoming virtual dance concert, or do a social media post about it. And then Adobe, I think it's Sites, will allow you to create their own, they create their own website. I've been using Google Sites for their digital portfolio, where they can have they can have their resume, their headshot. I also have them use or put a piece of writing on there, just to show like the wide range that dance brings. Let's see. And then there was one more. So there's post, there's and then the video. Yeah, they can create little videos instead of using just their regular Chromebook camera, or well, they use their Chromebook camera, but so they can just create videos, and they can add a virtual background, or I mean, I don't know, it gets into the graphic designing, but I was only able to use post this go around, but next year or this upcoming year, I'm definitely going to dive more into it.
Awesome. Thank you so
Answer.
much, Chandra.
It was a lot, I know.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. That's great. What other things are you interested in or curious about, or even would you like to see us create additional PLCs to dive deeper into as the summer and fall progress? Obviously, once we know more about what the situation actually is, we can go into a little bit more detail with planning for the fall. But hopefully, this has given you some ideas of some lessons that you can start to create and then just tailor depending on which plan gets used. You know, the goal was that everything that we provided for you could be done in class or remotely, just on how you can adapt that slightly, so that you could start developing a plan that could be utilized in any of those situations. So that's, you know, as a teacher, that's probably what I would do, is start coming up with a rough draft that could just be altered slightly for any of those scenarios.
Candace, do you feel comfortable kind of speaking a little bit more to what you mean?
You hear me?
Yeah.
So we're getting all of these digital resources, you know, they can go onto Google Classroom, they can use the Adobe Spark, you know, we're finding all of these additional avenues that we can use. But is there something that we have found that is all inclusive for all of these things? It's private for students, it's able to create all of the different things, they're able to have virtual profiles, or are teachers managing all of these different avenues? So are students using every single one of these avenues and having to learn different platforms with everything that we're doing?
Does anybody want to answer? Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah. I was just going to say, across the other arts areas, there is widespread frustration at the fact that some school districts said we are only on Google Classroom. Some school districts said we are only on Canvas. A lot more school districts have made decisions across the summer to say that, we're planning on Plan B or Plan C, and we are only choosing Power Schools Learning or whatever it is. But then there's, a myriad of districts that have not yet done that. What I would recommend is reaching out to your administration, because if at least you can keep it consistent within the school, that's really awesome. I think the benefit of having this conversation in June is the fact that we can start having these conversations. Nothing seems to be ubiquitously helpful across all four content areas. Google Classroom was never meant to be an online learning management system. So it's really hard. My kid had all of her classes through Google Classroom and Google Meet, and it was really difficult. It's hard to instruct in Google Meet. It's great. It's a great way to like log homework, but not a great way to instruct. So that's where it is like you have to go out and find all these Web 2.0 tools like Flipgrid to do that portion, but then also do Google Classroom. So is that kind of what you were talking about, or were you talking about the equity of having access to online resources?
No, about that. Yeah, I mean, has anyone had to use multiple platforms, I guess? And then how are they managing? We talk about doing all of these runs to make sure that these programs work for us, but how are we then making sure that parents and students are comfortable in all of the additional platforms that we can use?
I will say the most important thing is to make sure that your first assignments are just utilizing the technology, not utilizing the technology to complete some content-driven assignment. So I used to teach online, and I always had a unit 0 because it wasn't content, but it was navigating through the platform, some sort of video introduction of who I am. And Screencastify is a great way to capture, or even if you have a MacBook, you can do a screen recording using QuickTime, and you can just go through and navigate through everything, and having kids do very simple activities. So for example, today, the game that we played as an icebreaker was actually an activity to get you guys used to the chat and the polling features, right? So it didn't actually contribute to the conversation in any way, shape, or form, but it made sure that everybody understood how to use the platform. So those sorts of activities I think are really important. And then having office hours available after work hours, unfortunately, or maybe in multiple times of the day, where parents can show up during maybe before work or during their lunch break or after work to ask you questions about how they can support their students as well.
Yeah, and I like to think of it, when we normally don't have any of these circumstances going on, we might take a day or two to talk about our procedures and expectations and how do we run our class, and how do you go across the floor, and what is expected of you. And so we need to take that time to do the same thing with remote learning, or with any technology that we're going to be doing. This is how we use it. These are the expectations. This is how we navigate this, and the structure of it, so that it makes sense to them. So I kind of think of it in that same way of just setting up the tone for the class so that they understand how to do it and what's expected of them.
The other thing that I'd love to point out is that the Friday Institute worked with North Carolina Department of Instruction to put together a remote learning framework, and it was purposefully remote learning. And I'll find it and share it here in just a second. That it had 7 key components of how to address remote learning, and it was hailed actually nationwide as a really great framework for how to meet the needs of our students and their parents. So I'll drop that into the chat, and it was a great resource for anybody who actually was able to locate it and apply it. But I think it's going to be important for the fall as well.
And, you know, we keep mentioning all of these remote ideas that you've started, and there is a pretty good chance that even if we start in the classroom right off the bat, that we'll end up having to go back to using that at some point throughout the year. So just going ahead and preparing for that and saying, I have a plan for when that happens. Brandon had a quote the other day, I don't know who he was talking to, but he said, you know, this last time we had a weekend to prepare. Right now we have several months to at least prepare for, you know, switching to remote learning. So there's a lot more time. If we were able to do what we did in a weekend before, think about all the possibilities and what we can do with 2 months of planning now, or 3 months, or however long that takes to really kind of wrap our brains around, well, what's going to work. And it doesn't mean that that's how you're going to have to teach from here on out, but just thinking about that other sort of alternative plan, and that we get a chance to really dive into some of those standards that normally get glossed over, right? We're spending so much time on technique and learning performances and actually performing, but there's all those other standards that are so juicy and so valuable. And that's what we can really spend the time diving into and creating interest and really getting those students excited about all of the different components about dance rather than just performing. And maybe those students that normally are a little bit shy or feel a little bit like they're not quite meeting those performance standards as much as they would like to, here's the time that they can really shine, and they can kind of come out of their shell and say, well, I'm really great at writing about dance, or I'm you know, really great at creating my own thing when I know nobody else is watching me. So really kind of giving all of those students a chance to sort of find a different side of themselves. That's what's exciting to me, that it's a way to kind of reach the students that we may not normally be able to in the same way. What are some other closing thoughts that you may have, or things that you are concerned or excited about?
I wanted to address Candace's and Brandon, going back to the platform, the different types of platforms to use. I agree with Brandon. The main thing that you probably would want to do is check with your administrative team at your particular school, because what we did, I love my administrators for this. We literally streamlined everything, and we had one platform that we made our main tool of communication school-wide was Class Dojo, because that was a free access tool. But then also we ended up doing, we posted everything on Class Dojo or through Class Dojo, but then also we utilized, a lot of us utilize the Google Classroom or the Google Suite in order to do a lot of our instruction. So those were the two main avenues that we chose in order to do the distance learning and online instruction.
Wonderful. Great. Oh, we have an honorary visitor there.
I'm sorry, I have another question.
Yeah.
So this year, it was in the middle of the year that transition happened. So there was already kind of the trust between teacher and student. What is the plan for this year, where you might have to start with a new group of kids to build trust with them to even keep them involved through virtual learning?
That is the $1 million question, right? I think that's what a lot, that's really heavy on all of our minds, because that's, you know, in my teaching philosophy, and I'm sure the majority of you, that's really where we do our most work in that first week, really setting the foundation for the classroom and the environment, and that trust building, them being willing to become a little bit more vulnerable with us. And so trying to figure out how can we still have that feeling of trust and this inclusive environment, in an online format. So whether you can create little Google Meets or Zoom meetings or whatever platform that you're allowed to, even if it's not to dance together, but to at least see each other and come together in this like virtual screen somehow. I think any sorts of opportunities like that where they can feel like they are a community is really helpful to start that. And it may take longer than it does when you're in person, but that continues to be a foundation and something that you're thinking about throughout all that you're doing. Do any of you have any other ideas for how to do that?
Well, I was going to say the most important part is the building of community. And, that happens through dialogue. And if you've ever taken an online course, which probably most of us have, most of the ways that our teachers do that is through the discussion forums, right? Except our kids aren't big on discussion forums. They like to take videos of each other. And so we've seen, or of themselves, we've seen a lot of really great utilizations of Flipgrid to do discussion forums, but using selfie videos, right? So if you had them each introduce themselves in a Flipgrid room, and then they had to go watch everybody, or 5 people's videos and respond back to them. So it's like a 2-minute video, and then I think you get only a minute to respond back. It could be that the way that they introduce themselves is by dancing, and then you have everybody comment maybe the first time only with positive things, but as you continue that, you start to build in 3 positives and 1 delta or 1 like critique, and so you build this idea of getting to know each other even though you're not physically in the same room, because you're watching each other and you're talking to one another and you're getting the mannerisms of who gesticulates and who just sits there. It looks like a dead fish, when they video themselves. But that has seemed to like everybody who has been able to continue their classroom culture, I feel like, is telling me that they're using Flipgrid. I'm not getting paid by them, I promise.
A few of the college dance teachers in one of the NCDEO webinars last week mentioned that for their final projects, they uploaded their solos onto like YouTube or somewhere, but then they actually got onto a Zoom call together to watch them. So they all watched them at the same time, and then they were able to comment live while they were watching each other's solo videos. So they said that really made it feel like it was a performance. They were sharing work with each other. They could give feedback and comments right in the meantime, where some groups have done where they've uploaded videos and you had to go back and watch them later and comment on them, and that could work as well too. I know for my own kids, not in a necessarily dance classroom, but for their regular classes, they've done also things where they might they might have a show and tell day, or they get to share something that's going on with them, or share their pet day, or just something that kind of creates an atmosphere of community. But as far as even their dance teacher outside of the school at the dance studio would do like scavenger hunts with them, and like they're on their computers going through the house trying to find something that she's called out, and just some fun little games that sometimes that's helpful just to make it so that it doesn't feel so serious and so separated. But I think if we're in person, taking that first week to really focus on building relationships and learning technology are probably your primary 2 goals in that first week. Any other thoughts that you all have?
I just wanted to 2 from the chat. One is the idea that please always, before you introduce any new technology to students, please make sure that student and teacher safety is preserved. Those are, FERPA and COPPA. If you are logging in using a school account, some sort of credentials, it should be, but I would still double check. You can always reach out to customer service at any of those places, and they should be able to tell you exactly how they use it. But you also can reach out to your own tech department and see if it's already, been whitelisted as a resource. The other thing is, having only 2 days to prepare. The current schedule is that on July 1st, Governor Cooper should be able to tell us whether we are, as a state minimum, going to be on Plan A, Plan B, or Plan C. Every LEA is allowed to be more restrictive. I do know lots of charter schools who are already choosing to be on Plan C, which is remote learning for the fall. They're just blanket saying, we're not going to create 3 different plans. We're all going to be on the most restrictive plan so that we can do it successfully. So you hopefully will be able to know at least the minimum state plan, and then your school districts, I imagine, are going to want to try to tell you at least by the middle of July what plan your specific LEA is going to be on, if they are going to be more restrictive than that. Yeah.
And like we said, if it gets to that point, and you've found out what situation your school is going to be in, and you just are completely overwhelmed and don't know where to start, feel free to email us, reach out. We're happy to do brainstorming sessions with you at any point and just chat. We're open to any time doing a little virtual call. The 3 of us can get on and just brainstorm whatever issues that you're having or things that you're struggling to come up with. We're not going to be able to give you answers, right? But we're happy to brainstorm and talk through ideas with you. So that's really what we're here for. And hopefully when you know more, then we can help you more in that specific direction. And we would love to continue, like we said, doing these throughout the summer and the fall with more specific content. And that way you all can really continue to get to know each other and reach out to each other also. Any other last questions? Okay, so if you would like to the survey in the chat there, let me see if I can share the page really quickly. So you can go to this link here, and you'll go to the survey, fill out that survey, and let us know other things that you would like to discuss more in the future. Give us your emails. We'll reach out to you if there's anything else we can help you with. And thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it, and we're really excited to get to know all of you even more. I know some of you, and this is just really exciting to see all of you here and collaborating and getting to know each other. Once you fill out that survey, it'll give you a link to get to your certificate to take to your principals for your credit for today. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brandon, for helping too. And we will be in touch soon.
Awesome. Will this be sent in an email as well?
Yes, we will send you the email with the video. You'll get the link to the PowerPoint again, and you'll also have the access to the chat and the survey. All of that will be in there for you.
Thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for coming, everyone.